All right, so I'm Brendan, and this is my friend Ryan, and we're both members of the congregation at Temple Isaiah, and we're just excited to meet you guys and see what links us.
And we're also members of Temple Isaiah, and we are curious about your experience at Isaiah. Have you been in Isaiah all the way through kindergarten?
I've personally been here since, I think, kindergarten exactly. What about you?
I actually joined this temple in about third or fourth grade, and so I got to grow up with my friends here and then have our bat mitzvahs together.
When have you guys been members of the congregation since?
Not that many years.
15 years ago.
Yeah, about 2010 or so.
Are you guys initially from here or LA?
You're opening up a Pandora's box. I'll let this Pandora's box begin, but it's a big one.
No, I was born in Poland before the war. And I was 2 years old when the war broke out. So throughout the Holocaust, I was in hiding with my parents, ended up in Germany. After Germany was divided, of course, they were defeated first, and we ended up in the American sector in a DP camp, which is displaced persons camp. And from there, we emigrated to Cincinnati, Ohio for 10 years, and then I came to LA.
Wow. Where are you from then?
The big city, Manhattan. So I'm a kid from the streets of New York, basically.
Wow. That's where my grandparents are from.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm Polish as well, or I'm Russian, Romanian, and Polish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, all my ancestors, they came through Ellis Island mostly.
Oh, yeah,
So-
that's what I came through.
Yeah,
I see. So you came here in third grade. Where did you come from?
I'm half Russian and half Israeli, and my grandma is actually born from Romanian parents. So I guess we have very similar backgrounds.
Yeah.
And you mentioned, Stella, that you actually came to be in a displaced persons camp, right? My grandpa on the Israeli side was actually born at a displaced person camp. And I guess that's really powerful for me, just to know that I have a grandpa, I have this person whose mother was a survivor. And I think that's really powerful.
I know you were very young when you were in hiding, but
Yes.
you seem to remember some of it at least. What was that experience like, if you remember it at all? Like I said, I know you were young.
remember.
It's a great question.
'Cause that must be horrifying.
Well, it was horrifying. During my parents' life, the Polish government allowed Jews to own land. And at that time, there were many nobility in Poland who were broke and they were selling their estates. So my father, who got a big dowry when he married my mother, he used the dowry to buy first one whole village in Poland, which had lots of land and all kinds of things. And then one of his very loyal workers, whom he had given a house and land for the house, ended up hiding us.
Oh, wow.
And so we survived in hiding under his house.
Was it just a room down there, or did you not?
Well, what they did was first we were hidden in the attic, but the Polish houses are built with thatch roofs. You know what
Yeah.
thatch roofs are?
That's not going to hold up very well staying up there. That's not going to be very warm.
Exactly. So when winter was approaching, our town was made Judenfrei, which means free of Jews. All the Jews that survived were sent to another town. So they asked the man who was hiding us, his name was Vladek, asked Vladek if he would keep us, hopefully until the end of the war. It was like a storage room. So they dug it up in the winter time and they created a thing we called a grave. it was 6 by 4 by 4. So I was the only one who could stand up.
Wow.
And we stayed there for almost 2 years.
So did you stay inside the grave 24/7, or did you?
24/7, no daylight.
It's amazing they survived. I mean, it's a classic, not a classic, an unbelievable story.
It's
It was-
very smart. I haven't heard any story like it.
But I was going to ask you guys, have you been exposed to anti-Semitism, which is what she's talking about here?
Yeah.
Obviously nothing to the extent you're talking about. The only thing I've experienced with anti-Semitism that comes to mind is every once in a while someone will make a comment or someone will bring up a stereotype, which I think should affect me more than it does. I think I'm too forgiving, and I think part of that is I don't like starting conflict with people. I think I just need to be more clear with the people who say these things, because if I don't teach people who say these things and are uninformed, then it just continues to spread and people think that it's acceptable. And so that's something I've been coming to terms with more a lot, that I need to be more productive in my being clear that that's not an acceptable thing to do.
I think a very good discussion might be why you're engaged with us today and why we're engaged with you and how the twain shall meet. You guys, your generation, you're facing an especially difficult period, not counting climate and potential of war. But when we grew up, we had an easy time of excelling beyond our parents. Your generation has a harder time to do better than your parents, to achieve things well beyond what they may have.
In our modern world, everything is extremely competitive, especially college applications, which we're in the midst of right now, and we're going to be in the midst of during the summer and this upcoming year as seniors. Technology and social media has just
Taken over your life.
overwhelmed us, with content and just with stimulation, and you really have to choose wisely in kind of what you pay attention to. It's hard to kind of find value in yourself when you're provided with all this content and you're like, is that me? Should I be doing that? Or do I have to be like that in order to, get success?
You touched on some really strong positive points. Don't follow the crowd. Follow yourself. What turns you on? What are you interested in? What is your passion? What are you curious about? What makes you interested when you learn something? You follow that and you'll get there.
So I've heard that you have been described as the founding father of the internet. Can you tell us something about that? Because that's quite an accomplishment.
Sure. First thing is that's not true. There's no the founding or father of the.
Of course.
Lots and lots of people. In fact, the big answer is this thing we call the internet, this world of technology we see today, was going to happen. But I was there and I did engage and I had a wonderful, great fun time doing it. I participated in the early days. So what I decided to do was I recognized that there were a lot of computers at MIT and there was no way they could communicate. So I decided to do my dissertation on it. It was a problem nobody was looking at, which means there's a lot of low-hanging fruit. At 1969, the first node of the internet was deployed in my university lab at UCLA. I was now professor at UCLA. And so we became the first node. We sent the first message. I laid out the theory. And I've been publishing and graduating PhD students, 50 of them since then.
That's really impressive.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, I was lucky, but I was looking for something that was different and
Yeah, but
important.
you're always looking for something like that.
Yes, and I found you. I have to tell you, you probably know this Confucius saying. Confucius solved it. He said, if you take a job that you really enjoy, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But that's so true. Don't ever take a job that pays more that you don't like. It's not worth it. It's the rest of your life.
find that really admirable because
Yeah.
engineering is what I want to go into.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's really inspirational to hear about.